Welcome back. Here's our second Utah Business Spotlight for the week.
All right, this is Chris Brown, and this small business interview is on Zenikinetic. And this is Nico McIntyre. You founded Zenikinetic, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you wouldn't mind, Nico, just give us a little bit of information about what your company does, and then I'd like to talk more specifically about the types of products you make, because I think there's something that many listeners may not be familiar with.
Well, we started this to bring quality 3D printer filament into the market for people that were building their own 3D printers. But over the last couple of years, we've seen a huge hole in the market that our type of equipment fills perfectly. So we're taking our printers into the marketplace right now as well.
So you originally started with filament, which is sort of the raw material that goes into the printer. And it's interesting you mentioned that a lot of people were building their own, because that is something that's sort of unique about the 3D printing movement, is that you had a lot of sort of people building their own printers at home. But obviously now you're also going to provide printers for people who don't want to build their own. So tell us a little bit about what a 3D printer is and how it works, and just a general overview.
It's really very simple. If you look at it like a hot glue gun.
Okay.
Essentially, it's the same concept as a hot glue gun, but with a nozzle size as big as a hypodermic needle.
Okay.
Really small hole. And it's fed from a roll instead of a stick, so it can go forever. And then attach that to an incredibly precise computerized positioning machine. And it just draws out one layer of your object, and each layer at a time, and eventually builds.
So we see these being used by home hobbyists, education, small business, large business. There's almost endless applications. If someone's looking at 3D printing, what are some of the key things that maybe they need to know about before they go out and purchase a machine, whether it's from you or from someone else?
The most important thing to pay attention to is your resolution.
Right, so just like with a regular printer, you have resolution.
Yes, resolution is a really big deal. The kind of printer that we sell isn't necessarily best for making jewelry. There are printers that take the full resolution of a 1080p video projector, put that much resolution in a few square inches, and let you do very high resolution but very small jewelry pieces.
Okay.
And they're functional for a lot of other things too, but they're very limited on the size.
Okay.
Our stuff is geared more towards, it's still pretty high resolution, but larger pieces.
So if I was wanting to make like a mask or something, the more sort of large scale that,
Yeah.
I remember earlier we were talking a bit about people who are using 3D printers to make their own, masks and shields and body armor and all sorts of things for their costumes. And so things that are like that size is where your printers fit in really well?
Yeah, we want people to have an interface to the world, to make things that are usable and functional in the real world. We've given a pretty good size build volume, much bigger than most.
How is that expressed? What's sort of the dimensions that we're talking about?
There's an X, left to right, a Y, which is front to back, and a Z, which is bottom to top. So
Okay.
X, Y, and Z.
All right. So what are the dimensions that your printers typically handle?
18 inches on the larger one. The other one is 12. 18 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches.
Okay. So over a cubic foot in volume.
Yes.
You've essentially got to work with your devices. So I mean that's all sorts of things that you could make with something that size.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can make in that build volume. Our small printer will print a regulation basketball.
Okay.
That's a pretty good volume.
Yeah.
It's not going to hold air, but I'm saying that's
Yeah.
the print volume. Most of the little ones like that you're starting to see pop up on the retail store shelves won't even print a regulation bagel.
Okay. So they have a lot of space to work with. What about colors? Can you print something in more than one color? Does it have to So tell me a little bit about how that works.
There's different ways you can accomplish multiple colors. Remember, you're still doing one layer at a time. So you can switch out colors. You can have multiple extruders. There are ways that you can do multiple colors. Our dual extruder unit will let you do 2 colors of anything mixed pretty well.
Okay.
It's just another technique in the modeling, and it's not terribly difficult to master. Full color is not necessarily achievable with this particular type of technology. There are machines that will do full color.
Mm-hmm.
They range anywhere from $25,000 to $500,000, $750,000. The type of the FDM, the fused deposition modeling technology, the type that squirts out the hot plastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's still difficult to get the color of that plastic to change color very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we are limited to basically 1 color per extruder, but we are working on that.
Sure, it's just like anything else. You have to have a starting point. Mm-hmm. I mean, the idea that you can make a 3D object in your home
Mm-hmm.
that is functional, not just paper mache. I mean, you could actually use it for something is pretty fascinating.
We do it.
It seems like there's a lot of opportunities for this in education, where students could create and produce and actually feel and touch the things that they design. Do you think that's a big area of growth for this technology?
Absolutely. For people to have an idea, whether it's a student or an adult or anyone else, to have an idea, to be able to sit down at a computer for a little while, just the same way you would sit down and type up a document.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to sit down and create a 3D model in a computer and send it to a printer. And the time frame is completely different, but to have that that printer actually create that object in real space in real time, in a matter of minutes or hours,
Mm-hmm.
you can take something out of your head and actually make it real. That's amazing.
And who knows the applications that we'll see in the future. There's things that nobody's probably even thought of yet that we'll see that'll just be common.
Hopefully,
yeah. Now, before we're done, you guys are going to be bringing your printers to market soon. They're in production now.
we're building them now. There's a Kickstarter running right now.
Okay. And so if people want to find out how they can purchase one of your printers or just learn more about your company, what would be the best way of doing that?
Just go to the website.
And the website is?
Zenikinetic.com. ZENIKINETIC.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's just a fascinating business that you're in.